This is why we call it March, Ryan. That's what Ryan said. That's not my words. That's what Ryan said. We're back on Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland. Another episode to recap. Man, I tell you, a wild Sunday, Ryan. And it all starts with UConn. I understand that. But first, let's go over the biggest headline. Kentucky Wildcats. They are victorious against the South Carolina Gamecocks, the number one Gamecocks. Ryan, you told me it was a game-winning 64-62. I couldn't believe it, man. I was out and about, and I had seen a TV near me, and I had to look twice and 3 or 4 times. I'm like, did this just happen?
Yeah, I mean that's why they call it March, right? It's March Madness for a reason, and anything can happen. And that's why I've been saying this whole time. You never know what's going to happen when they seed all the teams in the bracket of 64 teams, and no matter what seed any team is, they all have the equal shot to win it, and anything can happen. So
Well,
South
this is
Carolina,
only
it's only their second loss.
we didn't officially even reach March yet. I mean March the tournament actually. So this is
Yeah,
only
yeah.
what was this? The SEC tournament?
Yeah, SEC tournament final. Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's wild. So first of all, congratulations, Kentucky. I know, shout out to Courtney on this one. I know she's happy about that game. Moving over to what matters most to us, at least that is Connecticut, number one Connecticut in the Big East, number one. They won big, Ryan, again by 20, 71-51 against the Marquette Golden Eagles. A lot to go over in just a little time, so we'll get down into it. Ryan, again, it looks like Paige Beckers had 18 minutes in this game, only scored 2 points. But again, what did you see out of this team? A little bit closer game than what we're usually used to seeing. Although, as I talked to you, you agreed. You're like, Phil, well, we're starting to get deeper into March, and you might see the scores start to get a little bit more closer now.
Yeah, and the last time these teams met, UConn didn't have Beckers, Nelson Adota, or Ducharme. So very different from the last time Marquette and UConn played. 10 different starting lineups for UConn this year. And on the other side, Marquette starters have not missed a single game this season. So 2 totally different seasons for both of these teams. Heading in this game, UConn had the 8-game win streak. During that streak, their margin of victory was 40 points. And of course, today they won by 20. But UConn, they started a game on fire. They forced turnovers, beautiful passing again. And the guards were creating shots for their teammates, finding their shots on the floor where they could knock down some shots. And Marquette, they just seemed kind of flustered. They couldn't make a shot. It seemed like very tough time shooting the ball, much like every team that UConn plays, because their defense is so dominant. UConn's defense is just so dominant. Marquette, they only had 18 points at the halftime mark, and the pace in which UConn plays, we mentioned that yesterday, it's just incredible. And Marquette they just couldn't keep up. They got outpaced, they got out hustled for most of the first half. And Marquette really didn't have an answer in the second half. UConn, they just continue their dominance, playing solid basketball the whole game, making good passes, good shots, shot exactly 50% again today. So really solid offensive performance and defensive performance yet again for UConn.
Yeah, and you talk about how the last time, well, coming into this game, Marquette was really, I heard that they were really hot shooting. They were a hot shooting basketball team. So again, I'm glad that you went back to the previous game when they met. What was it, February 13th? And Connecticut, I mean, hey, that was a close ball game, 72-58. I'm looking now. Back then, Connecticut was ranked 7 on the AP poll. So I'm telling you, I'm not seeing a whole lot that changed between these two teams from that last matchup to this one, although UConn won by 20. Marquette, man, I mean, they kept it close in that last game, and I thought that this game would be a little bit more closer than it was. But UConn pulled away like usual. Going back to, I know I was looking here. Do you have any word on Villanova women's basketball? If they're still in it,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
what's
it's
the
it's
status?
Villanova and Seton Hall. It's actually the game actually came on right after UConn, Villanova and Seton Hall for the second semi. So the winner of that game will play
Oh,
UConn
okay. All
tomorrow.
right. So today at 5:30, and then that would be the final tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Tomorrow's the Big East tournament final. Yeah.
Well, oh man, I know we're recapping today's game, but can you imagine? It's all I can do not to talk about what's going to happen if, and I expect Villanova Wildcats to win this ball game today and beat Seton Hall. Can you imagine? Because how about that game on February 9th, Ryan? Villanova was victorious
Yeah.
against Connecticut, 72-69. I know nobody has forgotten about that game.
No, and I've seen that a couple of times in the comments. The Husky fans want the
Mhm,
rematch, and I want to
mhm.
see it too. It should be a really good game and hopefully more competitive than this game today. But Kristen Williams was a player today that stood out to me. She was just on fire, especially in the first half. Really took control for
Yeah.
UConn. She really just got found her shot and just had her way with Marquette. She finished
Mhm.
with 13 points. Avina Westbrook led the team with 14. Another really good game from her off the bench, just like always. Aaliyah Edwards and Olivia Nelson Adota each had 8 points. Yeah, but I mean, really just dominant again. And what I noticed, in much of these games, UConn just has a size advantage with most of these teams. Aaliyah Edwards, Olivia Nelson Adota, and even Dorka Juhas, in the painted area, they just dominate the paint. Their size, they're just too big for most of these teams. Getting the rebounds and second chance points again for UConn. So just another really solid game.
Yeah, so I'm looking now. So Dorka, yeah, Dorka scored 13, and then Kristen Williams. So again, um, well, Evina Westbrook though she led all scores with 14. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So there you have it. I mean, it's all season. It's like okay, when I figure out okay, this player, this is Ryan. I take my stat sheet here and I take my roster. Okay, this I'm gonna circle this player. This is going to be the one to do it, to step up for this team. And maybe not Paige Becker. She's been out so long. Maybe it is her. Every time I try to set my mind on, okay, who's going to step up and take over this ball team? Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they don't have one specific leading scorer every single ball game. I mean, hey,
Right.
team sport, so be it. But it's wild, right? Because every time you have your mindset on, okay, she's going to step up and we're going to see her break out in March. She's going to carry this team to the Final Four, and maybe for our sake, even further. Let's hope. But I mean, every game it's someone different.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing because when you have all these players on UConn that Gino can use and spread out the minutes and get everybody around 20 to 25 minutes per game, it's just really good to see that they were able to adjust so quickly because they had all those injuries all season. And I think they're really starting to figure out what each of their roles is for when they play with each other on the court, all these different starting lineups and
Yeah.
different players coming off the bench that they really haven't had time to adjust to all season long. But now with everybody back healthy for these last 5 or 6 games, however many games it's been, I think that the players now, these girls are really starting to figure out what each of their roles are. And it's just really awesome to see that it's all coming together right before the Big East tournament final. And then, of course, March Madness.
Comments. I really liked one of them yesterday, Ryan, from our previous episode. And it's all spotlights on Ryan, like usual, like all the time. Here we go. Thank you to Warwick Dunn. He commented, Ryan. He goes in our last video again. This was from yesterday. Yes, March 5th. UConn Huskies rout Georgetown in Big East quarterfinal. Ryan, Warwick goes. Start page. Juhas, Westbrook, Ducharme, 1, 2, 3 off the bench. See who's locked in and go from there.
Yeah, and I think that might be the recipe going into March Madness. But I think for Gino, I think he is going to continue to bring Beckers off of the bench.
Mm-hmm.
He continues to say that Beckers is going to get 15 to 20 minutes a game. and she got what 18. You said this game, so yeah. I mean, I think that's just the recipe for now is just letting her do her thing off the bench and just letting her ease her way back from that injury.
Aaron Davis. We want to shout out to Aaron Davis. He's a huge supporter on this podcast, and we appreciate him a lot. Aaron Davis goes, and I knew that this would warm your heart, Ryan. I had to tell you this one. Aaron Davis goes, you guys are a class act to take time to bring up Bennett. I'm a fan, and we sit there and fuss and yell at the players for this and that, and forget that these are kids. Shout out to Westbrook for returning to UConn and not going to the W, heading to Mohegan in a few hours, and tomorrow night going on vacation to Florida, Tampa. Hey, that's Ryan State. Tuesday night for 12 days. Sorry, laugh out loud. Go Huskies.
Yeah, appreciate the support, and yeah, have fun in Florida. I love going there as well, and I guess he'll be watching the March Madness tournament while he's in Florida and cheering on the Huskies, just like we're gonna cheer him on as well.
And the last one. Here we go. Dean Grant, Ryan, and then we'll get out of here for the night. Dean Grant goes, with some of the losses in conference tournaments like Louisville, NCAA women's basketball, seedings will be interesting. Well, that's what you and I have been preaching the whole time, and he is right. I mean, we thank you for commenting, Dean, and thank you for your support. But he's right, Ryan. I mean, specifically, you have been telling me that leading up to weeks now, these past episodes. I mean, you're like, man, you just can't wait, because usually there is a certain front runner, right? And usually, pretty much who has a good shot at being at least not winning it all, but at least in that national championship game. But hey, especially today, I mean, with South Carolina going down, I'm just not sure, man.
Yeah, and it's going to be also interesting to see where UConn gets placed, what region they get placed, and if they're in the same region as South Carolina. So many questions. A lot of people had UConn at the 3 seed before the Big East tournament, and now with especially Louisville losing and all this madness going on, I think it's going to be interesting to see if UConn is going to be a 2 seed. If they'll stay a 3, or I don't think they can jump up to a 1, even if they do win tomorrow in the final. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what the final bracket looks like.
And we can't wait for the Big East final tomorrow. Ryan, UConn advances to the final Big East final with the 71-51 victory over Marquette today. And that does it for us on Listen Up, Ryan. We can't wait. We know UConn fans can't wait, and they are hoping for a rematch, like you said, with Villanova. It's Phil and Rye on Listen Up.